Philippines here. Well, we woke up this morning to the appalling news that Boris Johnson has bottled it. He's lost his nerve. He's flunked it. He has decided that he's reported to have decided to side with the coronavirus panickers, the COVID panickers, who are demanding that lockdown in the UK goes on basically forever. The economy is going to die. So bye-bye Britain. If you have investments or money in the UK at the moment, your best plan now is to get them out, because you cannot rely on this government to help you. They are absolutely determined to destroy the economy. They've made it very clear. And this is on a day when Rishi Sunak has again, that's the Chancellor of the Exchequer, has yet again, consequences of the continued lockdown will be catastrophic. The economy may never recover. Britain might become a third world country because of this. And it doesn't need to. That's the point, it doesn't need to. This is being caused by the poor judgment and incompetence of British politicians, egged on by an appalling media whom we need to have a little bit of a word with. It's not acceptable for a government to ruin a country. That's not their job. And for them to continue doing this in the face of statistics that tell us that the whole lockdown is a completely pointless waste of time is absurd. Now, I'm going to quote from another story by Peter Andrews, whom I've quoted before. He's one of the very few journalists who's consistently coming up on the money on this, coming up with good research. And he says now that the WHO, now remember, the WHO are the ones who kicked off the panic. They're the ones who started all of this, the chickens running, you know, from the imaginary fox. And he's now saying that the WHO says new studies indicate that up to 230 million people may have had coronavirus and survived. More than 90 times more than the current official tally of 2.5 million cases. The World Health Organization, or in my opinion the World Unhealthy Organization, has revealed that early data from antibody testing studies around the world indicate that only, in quotes, 2.2 to 3% of people have been infected by the coronavirus, a figure lower than expected. Antibodies for a specific virus appear in the blood of people who have had and cleared that virus. Antibody or serological testing takes advantage of this by checking specifically for these antibodies, and I'm sure you knew that. If 2 to 3% of people worldwide tested positive for antibodies, a back-of-the-envelope calculation indicates that something of the order of 150 to 230 million people worldwide have already been infected with coronavirus. This dwarfs the current official estimate of about 2.5 million cases and casts into doubt the possibility of an effective containment strategy. What he's saying here is, if you already have 230 million people infected, how are you going to contain that? It's a big difference, you know, it's 2 orders of magnitude greater than the numbers that they're actually thinking about at the moment. Completely useless Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, I can't really say that, was speaking in a press conference. He's the head of the Director General of the WHO. Was again quoting the out-of-date figures again, because it's the WHO and they're useless. The only good news here is that this much higher infection rate means that the mortality rate is tiny. It's absolutely tiny. However, Mr. Andrews is careful not to over-egg his pudding here, and he couches his last phrases with a little bit of caution. But the basic point is, we now know that mortality from COVID is far lower than has been touted, especially by the scandal-mongering press. It's not anything like the 13% that was predicted. It is somewhere, you know, there have been many studies out now, it's somewhere between 1 and 3%. And an average seems to be at 1.4%, which is tiny, to be honest with you. I mean, that's lower than the flu. So we are panicking and closing down the world's economy over, as I've said before, a chimera, a spook, and nothing. There's no reason for it. And we are now in the UK, we're left with a Prime Minister who's lost his ball, who has lost his courage and his guts and his backbone. Apparently, it's been surgically removed. You know, Boris Johnson makes a great hoo-ha about how much he admires Winston Churchill and how he thought that he was the greatest British Prime Minister of the 20th century, which may or may not be true. It probably was true. Winston Churchill, having said that, was a very specific kind of person. But one thing about Winston Churchill was he would never, never run from a fight. He made that very clear. He would not do it. He would not run from a fight and see his country destroyed. And that's exactly what Boris Johnson is doing. He's running from this fight because he's a coward, because he is a barefaced coward. He's a will-o'-the-wisp, a man of straw, who has failed the test of leadership. Quite clearly, we need some sort of leader who's strong enough to say to the stupid tabloids and to the stupid sheeples that, sorry, we're lifting all the lockdowns. We're doing it right away, and we're going to get our economy back on the move. That's what we need. We need someone like that. It could be Rishi Sunak, but I don't know if they'll let him do it. But the position at the moment is that Boris Johnson is no longer fit to be Prime Minister. He has demonstrated that. And unless he is able to get himself back into the saddle within the next few days, I would say by the end of this month, a week away, then we really need to arrange for him to resign and to have a new Prime Minister. Because we cannot have this. We cannot have a situation where the Prime Minister of the country is deliberately destroying the country. Trust me, if this continues, by Christmas, there will be no Britain. There will be no Britain. You know, there'll be no Britain for the pubs and restaurants to open to. It'll be finished, it'll be done. It'll be a third world country with people starving in the streets. Now, the only thing that we have left, or that British people have left, if the government, as it obviously is unprepared to take the action that needs to be taken, is to simply defy them and get back to work and say, no, we're not having it any longer. Sorry, you cannot prevent us. And let them try it with the goon squad, so-called police. Let them try it. The goon squad have already shown what they are. They will never, never be looked at again in the same way. They will always be the enemy because of what they've done. And if they start to get heavy-handed, that'll get worse. You're going to be seeing serious rioting. You're going to be seeing serious damage. And that's going to be because people have no money. Because they know that the economy is being destroyed, deliberately destroyed for no good reason at all. There is no reason. The people who die of coronavirus, they would die anyway. This is a ridiculous panic for nothing, and it needs to end. We need to stop it. I'm sure I'll have something to gripe about tomorrow, so just take care.